Hello YouTube, it's pakman here, and today I will show you how to make WhatsApp chat list UI clone in Flutter. So let's start. As you can see, I have an empty project. There is just material app and the home screen, and our home screen is just an empty widget. So what we can do, we can just start with adding our AppBar to our scaffold in home screen widget, and it will be AppBar. Of course, we need to remove our constant word. We can see that our AppBar is green, however we can change it to be more WhatsApp color style, and to do that what we can do, we can specify our primary color to be colors.green.shade, let's say 800, and also let's do that to our AppBar theme. And now the color looks similar to our WhatsApp color. The next thing that we will do, we'll create a title of our AppBar, and our AppBar will be WhatsApp clone. Of course, this needs to be a text widget. Yeah, and it looks quite good. So what we'll do now, we'll create now AppBar actions, and to do that we'll just create actions, and it will be icon button. We are just creating UI, so there will be no functionality. Of course, our icon will be icons.search, and let's create options icon button as well. Add this options dots icon, we need to add material design and post Flutter package, so let's do that. Let's add it in our terminal. Dependency is resolved. So now what we can do, we can refer to our MDE icons, and it will be dots vertical icon. If we save it, we can see that we have our dots vertical icon option in our AppBar. So now let's create our body, and our body will be our chat list. So let's start with adding our body parameter to our scaffold, and our body will be a separate widget, and it will be a ListView builder, but let's make it in a separate file. So let's name it our chat list widget. Let's just create it. Let it be stateless widget. Let's call it chat list, and let's add missing dependency, and let's make it constant. Let's create ListView builder. Let's create our builder function. For now it will be empty. Let's create our item count. Of course, for our data, we'll use this data that I have prepared. What I have prepared, I have prepared our photos for our chat list users, and then we'll add some more parameters to that test data. Of course, in real life scenario, you need to have your data from server, for example, Firebase, but today I'll show you how to create the UI. So to create a chat list, we'll need some kind of a model that will be responsible for one chat row in our list. And to do that, let's create our model class, which will be called chat row.dart file, and it will be a class called chat row. It will have name of user, it will have photo URL of user, it will have message, and it will have message time, and it will have number of unread messages as well, and also a boolean parameter called isMessage seen by the user. Let's create constructor for that fields. Let's create our test data file, which will be a helper class that will store our list of chat rows. Let's name it chat test data.dart file, and it will be class chat test data, which will have static property that will hold all of our chat list rows. So let's name it static list of chat row test chats. So we have our test object, and now we can try to see how it looks. But first of all, we need to create our ListTile in our ListView builder. But let's specify out the item count, which will be our chat test data class, test chat's length. We can refer to our specific chat by getting the specific test chat by its index. So let's name it chat row equals chat test data test chats index. Let's return our chat row as one chat ListTile, and to do that, let's return ListTile widget as our leading widget. Let's add our photo URL of user in image network widget, and as a source, let's add chat row dot photo URL. Let's make it with box with cover. Let's also assign width to be 50, height to be 50. Let's save it. You can see that our photo is there. Later we'll make it round. Let's make our title widget, which will be our text widget, and as a text we'll put our name of user. Let's create the same for subtitle, but this time we'll use our message in our subtitle property. Let's also add our trailing widget, which will be also text, and this time it will be our date time. For now, let's just use the message time to string. Let's just save it. We have our ListTile, however, we can fix it a little bit. For example, we can make the image round and we can fix the date. So first of all, let's create our image to be round, and to do that, let's wrap our image network widget container. Let's make a decoration. It will be box decoration, and let's make our shape to be a circle, and let's make our let's assign clip behavior to be clip.hardEdge. And now we can see that our image is round and nice, so that's good. So what we need to do, we need to assign our date to be in a nice format, and to do that we need to add Intel package to pubspec.yaml file. Intel package is added. What we can do, we can now, instead of using simple to string method, we can use date format, and we can add a pattern here. So let's make it to be day, month, and year. Let's make it with slashes, and let's use our format function, and for our date it will be message time. Let's save it. We can see that now it looks much better. So now I'll make much more test data to see more data in our WhatsApp chat list. I have created the more test data, and now you can see that it looks quite okay, quite good. But we need to fix our date of message, because it shouldn't be small m but big M, and now our months are shown correctly. So what we can do next, we can create if our message was read or not, but to do that, basically, first of all, we need to create extra property, which will be Boolean property called final bool is for me. Basically means if that message is for me or not. And Let's just make it not required, make it as false. So now in our subtitle, let's wrap our text widget with row widget, and there we will create our marks if message that we send to the recipient is read or not. So we need to first of all check if our chat row is it for me message. So if it's not for me, then we need to create icon that actually will determine if the message is read or not. So if it's read, then the mark should be blue. If it's not, then the mark should be gray. So let's create this mark. So let's create an icon, and our icon will be icons.check, and let's make it in a row as well. So it will be double marks that will determine that the message was sent, and our color needs to be dependent on our chat row, and it will be dependent on our flag. This message seen, and if it's seen, then our color will be colors.blue, and if it's not seen, then let's make it colors.gray. And the same with our second check mark. So when we will run it, we can see the check marks. However, what we can do, we can make it more narrow. So basically, to do that, first of all, we can make our icons to be smaller. So let's make it 16. Yes, 16 looks much better. Let's add it to the second one. Let's make it 16. Yeah, it looks much better. Okay, so to make it more narrow, I have added our icons. I have wrapped with stack and make a positioned widget. So, and then I also wrap it with sized box, and therefore our icons are like sticked together. So now it looks much better. So now what I will do, I will update our test data so that not all messages are sent by us, but also some messages are sent from the users to us. So for example, let's change is for me to be true to some values. Then we can see that, for example, the message from Paul or Wojtas has not have any marks. It means that this message was sent by those users to us. And then the final thing for our list view is to create, whenever a message is sent by the user to us, we need to see how many messages were sent by this user. Therefore, what we need to do, we need to update our trailing to be a column. So let's make it a column. And what we will do, we will load the data. We'll create our widget, which will be a container. It will be a round widget. Let's make some padding to be const edge insets all, and let's make it 5. Let's create a box decoration with circle shape. Box shape circle. Let's create our alignment widget to be center, and let's make our child widget to be a text widget. But of course, our text widget it needs to be chat row number of unread messages, and that needs to be converted to string. And let's add width and height to be let's say 20 or 30 with height. And let's change our background color of container. So our color will be theme of context and will be our primary color. And therefore box decoration don't need to be constant. And what we can change a little bit the padding to be 8 and change the width to be 30. Okay, maybe it's a little bit too big. So we can make it 25 and maybe padding to be 3. Okay, that looks okay. And the final thing is that our column needs to have main axis alignment, and let's make it main axis element space between, or maybe space evenly will be better. Yeah, that looks much better. And our cross-axis alignment needs to be cross-axis alignment, and let's make it end. Yeah, that looks quite okay. What else? What we can do? Basically, we don't need to show this number of unread messages to all chat list messages, but only to the ones that were sent to us. So we can add if here, if our chat row is for me. So now we can see that our number of unread messages is shown only to messages sent to us. And that we also need to do is to color the date of messages, and also do not show the number of unread messages if it's 0. So we can also check if our chat row number of unread messages is more than 0. Of course, it disappeared, but we can update the test data so that for some it will be shown. So let's change it for poll, and let's start the app. Yeah, now we can see that it looks quite okay. Let's change the color of our text. Let's make it in our text style, so it will be constant text style, because it will only have our color. And let's let it be colors.white. Yeah, it looks much better. And let's change our date color if the message is unread to be green one. And to do that, let's create a style. This time it won't be constant because it will be dependent on our flag. And let's create color. And now let's check if number of unread messages is more than 0, then let it be theme of context dot primary color, and otherwise let it be colors black. Also, we need to check as well if the message is for us. And what else we can do? We can also make this check for our font weight. So let's create it to be bold when this condition is true. So let's make it font weight bold, and if it's not, then let's make it normal. Yeah, and now it looks much better. So basically most of the things is done. But what we can do more? Well, we can change the date, today's date to be saying today, and yesterday's date to be saying yesterday instead of date format. Well, and to do that, what we can do, we can add in our chat row property, and this property basically will determine what should be the text of the message time. And to do that, basically, we need to check if our message time is today and if our message time is yesterday or not. Let's write our getter. Let it be string get message text. And first of all, let's return our default text for message, which will be the one that we used in our chat list. Of course, you can just refer to format. Let's return it, and now we don't need to. We can just refer to our chat row, and instead of message time, we can refer to our message text, and it will be the same. So now let's check if today. Then let's check if yesterday. To check if it's today, well, first of all, let's create now datetime, which will be datetime now. We need to check year, month, and day. So if now year equals our message time day, then what we can return today. Or basically, maybe we can, instead of today, we can write the time of the message. So write date format, and we are interested in hour and minute. So let it be hour and minute, and let's format our message time. And we need to fix our year check. And as we can see, the John message has been updated to be the time. So now what we can check if our date is yesterday. To check if our message date was from yesterday, first of all, we can specify a yesterday variable, which will be basically today's year, today's month, and today's day -1. We can make the same check as for today, but instead of now, we check yesterday. And if it's yesterday, then we can just return yesterday text. Of course, what we need to do, we need to specify message time that will be from yesterday. So let's do that from Anna. So today is the 26th of October. So let's make it 25th of October. Let's rerun the application. And as we can see, the Anna message is from yesterday. Well, of course, this list is not sorted. So what we can do, we can sort our test data. Of course, that needs to be done on server side whenever you fetch your real data, because it's not a good practice to sort things that can be sorted on server. What we can do, in our test data, we can specify an extra function, which will be called list, which will return list of chat row objects, and get sorted test data. And to have our test chat sorted, let's use our sort method, and let's create our lambda expression. And we need to do basically compare our message time and return test chats. Let's save it. And of course, if in our list, we need to refer to that function. So let's create variable sorted list, and let's of course make it a static method. And of course and as we can see, it has sorted. However, it has sorted in the opposite direction that we are interested in. So we need to invert that list, and to do that, basically we need to change the order of compression. So we need to do like this kind of magic. And now, as we can see, our list is sorted in descending way. So yeah, it looks pretty nice. And the last thing that we want to do, we need to add our tabs below our AppBar, which have our chat status and calls tabs. And our chat tab is the active one, and it will also have our camera icon before our chats on the left side. So to do that, basically we need to go to our home screen, and our chat list is of course the only body widget. Let's wrap it with a column, and before our chat list, we would like to have our app with unread messages. So to do that, let's create a new widget. It will be chat list tabs, and let's create this widget. Let's make it stateless widget. Let it be row. Of course, let's use material package and as children, and wrap our row with sized box widget. Let's make it as infinity width, so the whole screen width, and by height let's take 50. Of course, we need to add a reference to our chat, list tabs. Just run it. As you can see, there are some errors saying that vertical viewport was given unbounded height. This is because Flutter doesn't know how much height chat list needs to have. So let's wrap it with expanded widgets, so take as much space as possible. And if we save it, we can see that our UI is back. And now let's just open our chat list tabs and change our size box to be container because we need to have a color, and it will be of course our primary color. It's looking okay, however you can see that there is elevation of our app bar that we can delete, so that our second bar or second tab bar with tabs looks better, and we don't see any divider between them. To do that, we can go back to our home screen, and for app bar we can change the elevation to be 0, and now we don't see any divider between app bar and our chat list tabs. So now what we can do, we can create our options, and our options basically will be for now simple text widgets. So let's just create a first text widget called chats. Let's have some style on that, and let's make the font size to be 20, and let's make the color to be white. That looks better. We can also add other texts to be status and to be calls. Let's change chats to be also uppercase, and let's change maybe the font style to be 16, to be little bit smaller, and let's change the main axis alignment to be main axis alignment split space evenly. So now that looks much better. And let's add icon basically, and to do that, let's add at the beginning our icon button, making the photo, so it will be icons dot camera, but we'd like to have this camera alt icon, of course, therefore the whole row cannot be constant, however the icon can be constant. And let's make icon color to be colors.white. As we can see, it looks pretty cool, however there's too big space between the icon and our tabs, so to do that, let's wrap our icon with row, and let's move our chat's text to be just next to the icon. It looks much better. We also don't need to have the spacing at the front, and to do that we can change our main axis alignment to be start. We don't see any spaces between objects, but we can use our expanded widgets. So let's do expanded to each of our 3 elements, and therefore by default the flex of expanded is set to 1, and therefore each of expanded element will be evenly spaced. However, you can see that the text is aligned not in the center but at the beginning of expanded, so we can also change that. So let's change it to be the alignment property, text align property to be text align center, and also calls text to have the same. And now it looks much better. Let's just fix our constant. And what we can do, we can add the chats to be the active tab. So basically, let's change the font weight to be font weight bold, and we need to add a tab below that, and that tab should be highlighted only for chats. And to do that, let's wrap each of our 3 elements with columns. Let's add our tab, which will be sized box, not sized box, but sorry, container, with height, let it be 5, and width, let's take as much space as possible, and in this case it will be the maximum width space of one expanded element of a row. So let it be double.infinity, and let's make colors.white. Let's see how it looks. We can see some overflowed error. It is because our container is too small. Now we can see the tab is displayed, but what we can change the tab position to be at the edge of that container, and to do that we need to change the alignment of our row to be main axis alignment, space between. And now we can see that the tab is at the edge of our chats tab. Now, as you can see, the alignment of chats is not equally the same as for status and calls, because our bar, or our highlighted bar, basically our sized box that was added to, not because our container added to our chats needs to be added also for status and calls, and it can be transparent color. And then when you would add some logic and add some status and calls screens, then you can change this color to be white one whenever status is clicked, and chats to be not highlighted anymore. So to do that, well, to add those containers, we need to copy the code. We need to wrap our text widgets with columns and remove constant words. Apart from our texts, we need to add our container. Of course, we need to also add main axis alignment to be space between as well to our columns. And let's wrap our text widgets to be with expanded, and let's change our let's wrap our text to be in center. The same with status text. Let's wrap it with center and expanded. Let's make it constant. And the last thing, we need to change our colors to be transparent for status and calls. And yes, that's it. As you can see, we have created our WhatsApp clone. It's almost done, because now I have seen that we forgot to add our floating button. And to do that, we need to go to our home screen, and we need to go to our floating action button, and our floating action button basically will be, floating action button, and child of that button will be icon, which will be message icon. Let's see how it looks. It looks quite nice. We can change the color of our floating action button, and to do that we can add background color to be theme of context, primary color, and now it looks as in real WhatsApp application. So yeah, that's all for today. I hope you find this video interesting. If you like this video, then give a like and please subscribe to my channel. So yeah, see you next time. Who is the best?